Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're talking Ben and Jerry's.
That's right, Johnny. Ben and Jerry's go to war. That's why I'm in my goofy little paratrooper World War II outfit here, because in World War II, nothing said morale boost like good old-fashioned ice cream.
I love some ice cream. So, our boys in overseas got some ice cream, or we're doing an episode on that?
Yeah, boys overseas got some ice cream, and they got it. So, picture this, Johnny. You're stationed in the Pacific. It's hot. It's humid.
In the Pacific,
you probably have malaria because, mosquitoes are everywhere, and that's
or
going
an STD.
On. Haven't shit right in months because, dysentery while we're at it.
And, yeah.
And, and at any moment, you can be attacked from the bushes, from people hiding in wait. So how
or coming out from under the ground,
with that
or
from a day-to-day? Yeah, coming out of the ground. Just little holes that they dug in the ground everywhere. Just popping up in front of you. How do you deal with that? Ice cream, Johnny. Morale boost of sweet, sweet ice cream. That's how you get through your day-to-day activities.
Seriously? We just sent them some ice cream?
Yeah, legitimately. The United States Navy had such an abundance of supplies, actually the Army as well, but we're really focusing on the time that we took a warship and turned it into an ice cream manufacturing plant as opposed to anything else for war materials.
Instead of using a warship.
We had such an abundance of supplies in the United States that we could take military equipment and turn it into ice cream manufacturing for that delicious, sweet, sweet treat.
So not just delivering a boatload of ice cream, just a manufacturing plant, because these ships, I always forget how mind-bogglingly large they are. Putting a whole ass plant inside of one to just make
now, to be clear,
unlimited ice cream.
This is a barge. It's not necessarily a destroyer. It's a barge. It was designed for,
sure, but
no engines.
All of them though. Yeah, just real big. But so it's not even its own ship. It's they're towing it.
No, it gets tugged. It's
okay.
It's a towing.
Right.
But we'll get there, Johnny. So how the hell do we get to this point, right? There's the questions that I can answer, and to answer those questions, Johnny, we got to talk about ice cream and why it became the military staple that it was through World War II. For us, and pretty much only us.
It's a weird staple to give to your army. Let's be honest. That's when you think of military food, it's MREs and just bugs and shit that they find.
But Johnny, like those Snickers commercials, it's clear that you're not you when you're hungry, and the army marches on as hungry, so to speak. And when you're eating the equivalent of canned Spam and powdered eggs on a day-to-day basis, you might want to supplement that with something that's a little bit... you get that sweet tooth. You get the cravings for sugar if you haven't had it for a while, cravings for chocolate if you haven't had it for a while. So even at the very get-go, the United States during World War II, the rations contained either a chocolate bar, which was very, very rare for most of Europe at this time, like the fact that we had that in abundance so we could put it in our... And I don't mean like it was occasionally in the rations. I mean like every ration had some type of sweet treat. It either had a chocolate bar or it had little sweet candies.
Now,
so much so that the emergency rations, like if you crashed your plane or your boat sank on a little rife raft, you'd have emergency rations. Yeah, that was basically just a chocolate bar on steroids to try to help keep you
through
it's
day, loaded with fats and sugars that it gives you a little sugar boost or caffeine boost, whatever type thing. Mm-hmm. Now, Europe had no chocolate at the time, right? Like, why? Or just the military?
Rationing, right? Just rationing. Comes down to,
which is why it was a big deal when we did the parachute drops of chocolate. Because we did that, right? We just dropped a bunch of chocolate on their heads and said, "Hey, vote for us," or whatever.
Look what we got. Yeah, there's a lot of this abundance of supplies of Americans that
and just showering it on other people to show off.
This is what this episode is.
We are a country of excess. Also we are. It's what we do.
Yeah, and we're able to continue to produce. So at the start of the war, while all the rest of the world was rationing dairy, sugars, cocoa, all those things, because they're not abundant, they're not deemed necessary for the civilian population.
They're not a staple.
They try to get. Yeah, they're not a staple. What little they do have, they try to get to the troops for morale boost. across the entire country. But so while the rest of the world is starving for chocolate, the Americans are like, meh, we got it in abundance.
Yeah, too much.
Along with dairy and ice cream. Now, take the same concept for wanting sweet treats, apply that to the Pacific, where it's hot as balls, ice cream.
That's
what
fair.
better way than ice cream? Now, ice cream as we know it goes all the way back to Antonio Latini in Naples, who creates the first milk-based sorbet in the 1600s, although there are frozen sorbet-like items that go all the way back to the Chang Dynasty. So, like, this is something that we've been taking.
But modern ice cream was invented in Naples, Florida.
But what we would call ice cream was like 1600s.
Yeah, a USA, Naples, Florida production.
Yes. Yep. Not Naples, Florida, but yeah, Naples. But more
Italy.
Like Italy, but
is the one.
Yeah, there's that one. Anyways,
Tommy usually just doesn't listen to me. He just nods and then keeps talking. So
there's some of that.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
It's hard to hear over these little, earbuds and then drinking whiskey. And...
Yeah, buy a $10 set of headphones, Tommy. I mean,
but man, when I edit,
do
I giggle at your jokes?
You're the only one. I appreciate
I appreciate it then. Now, in any case, get the sweet treats over there to the guys in the Pacific. U.S. soldiers enjoyed ice cream so much that they produced 135 million pounds of it in 1943 alone. Keep that in mind.
It seems like
when the world is at war and there are literally nations struggling to get enough bullets to the front, the United States have enough manufacturing capabilities that we can take a plant and just divert nothing but ice cream and make 135 million pounds in 1 year.
135
and
million
that's what's going to the soldiers.
And,
That's
from the barge that they built?
That's not the barge.
No, okay, that's just for them. Our production to send to them.
Yes, yeah. Yep.
Seems like a lot of ice cream. I mean, because we don't have 135 million soldiers, so soldiers are getting more than a pound of ice cream.
Yeah, they are. We'll get there, but they're quite literally eating as much as they want. Like, this was just the thing that was available, that you can have as much of it as you want.
Well, it's every kid's dream.
Right?
If we're going to send children to fight in war, we might as well give them unlimited ice cream. Like, here, go die for us, but you can have all the ice cream you want. Thanks.
Not a bad idea. Now, this is not what we would consider a necessary staple food. Actually, it's an unnecessary delicacy. So much unnecessary that
it can't be necessary. You have to keep it frozen.
Yeah,
you can't just put it in a pack.
By 1930, yeah. Well, they will come out with powdered ice cream that, as long as they can come up with some, like, it would be powdered and then you mix it with some like
moon
cold,
ice cream or whatever.
Yeah, well, you can mix it with like cold water or cold ice if you can find it, and it would turn into.
In the Pacific Islands in the 1940s, if you could just find some ice.
By 1939, most other nations had either banned or restricted ice cream sales and production due to shortage of milk, vanilla, and sugar, but not in the U.S. Sort of. We actually started to ban it in 1939. The U.S. FDA deemed it a non-necessary food item. The Military War Department said it's a non-necessary food item and actually limited the production of it in 1939. But 1941, right after we entered the war, they're like,
we missed the ice cream. Can we have it
we
back?
Don't like this. And so the ice cream lobbyists go to Congress. I'm not making this shit up. They go to Congress and go, "Hey, you need to fix this because we want to produce it. We want to sell it. And people like our ice cream, so let us do that." At which point Congress said, "Okay." And not only did they limit the ban on ice cream, they actually deemed it a necessary food staple and made it mandatory part of the rations.
Is this
for
like
the civilian and soldier population?
Is this like, was it Michelle Obama that deemed pizza like a salad or whatever because of the vegetables on it or something like that? Do you remember that thing?
Or like
they classified it as some sort of thing that it definitely is not.
Maybe, This reminds me more of like kale and like our U.S. obsession with kale now. Like, because before the biggest, I'm not making this up, random knowledge, the biggest purchaser of kale in the United States used to be Pizza Hut because of the salad bar. They just used it as decoration on the salad bar. You remember
just garnishes, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like the kale lobbyists got together and like petitioned Congress and like, you need to like promote this because it's a delicious, healthy treat. Which it's not that it's unhealthy, but it's not. It's fucking lettuce.
It's not a superfood.
Yeah. It's not a superfood, but it's been deemed a superfood, and now everybody eats it like it is a superfood.
All right, so I was gonna go ahead and praise lobbyists for bringing back ice cream because it's probably the only wonderful thing that they've done since the invention of lobbyists. But then they went and ruined it because then they let the kale lobbyists in, and they did the same thing.
Later. Well,
cool.
It's good to know that in 1941, lobbyists are just the same as they are.
It's their
today.
job, but that's their job. They went, they did their job. They got more ice cream made, caused a diabetes crisis for years down the road, not at the time, but
years down the road,
and made us one of the fattest, least healthiest countries in the world. That's well done.
It's okay. Now, in the European front, it's not too terribly hard to make ice cream. In fact, the soldiers would do it on the front themselves. They would have the manufacturing capabilities like in the back of trucks, all that kind of stuff as they're moving to the front. It's a cooler climate. You don't really have to worry about the stuff melting as fast, especially in the winter. You would actually have some soldiers, pilots specifically, who learned that if they took a machine gun can, filled it with like cream and vanilla, and then put like a little propeller system on the front that would like churn it on the inside, and then strap that to the wings of their plane as they flew at altitude of like 30,000 feet or wherever the hell they're flying at.
It's cold as shit up
cold.
there.
By the time they land, ice cream.
They got ice cream on the wings of plane. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it tasted fine. I just imagine it would have flavors associated with it that would not be good. I don't know what.
Perhaps,
I don't know why or what, but it just seems like it wouldn't be as good. But I'm spoiled.
But in the Pacific front, hotter. You never get those freezing temperatures, so you're obviously going to have to manufacture the ice some way and keep it cool, refrigeration systems and that kind of stuff. So I shit you not, the initial plan or solution for the Navy was
they were going to steal an iceberg.
Any ship that was any ship that was larger than the destroyer would actually have an ice cream manufacturing plant in each of the individual ships that would then be available to the cantina all times of the day. Soldiers would get in line, have their ice cream is made right on the ship.
Great.
No problem whatsoever. That ice cream then could be shipped back onto the shoreline, and as long as
everybody gets ice cream.
For as long as it can last, everybody gets ice cream. It doesn't matter whether they're on the boat or they're on the islands, so to speak.
Now, I assume they also just probably had cows that they had a pasture that they built for inside one of these ships or whatever, and got that way they could get the milk.
This is like canned condensed milk that they're getting.
They dried it out.
We're making ice cream out of canned condensed.
This
is like more like soft serve than it really is ice cream.
Sure.
But in any case, this is like, I can't explain this anymore of how like impactful the ice cream was for the soldiers or like how prominent it was on every military vessel. That on May 8th, 1942, my birthday, not 1942, but May 8th, in the Battle of the Coral Sea, the aircraft carrier, the USS Lexington, is going to be hit, and the order for abandoned ship is going to be given. Now, when that order of abandoned ship is going to be given, multiple soldiers go down to the mess hall, break into the ice cream, where it's being made, and they fill their helmets with ice cream, and then like get into the lifeboats eating ice cream as their aircraft carrier is sinking.
I mean, if you're gonna die, you might as well die eating ice cream.
You might as well die eating ice cream.
I'm sure that's what they were thinking. Like, going down in the middle of the Pacific, I'm out of here, so might as well have some ice cream. I imagine we know this because they survived and lived long, happy lives.
Oh, yeah. There's story. Yeah, there's like first-hand account stories. Yeah, yep. Now, by 1945, it became a bit of a supply and demand issue as the Pacific to supply the Navy and Army in the region with enough ice cream, so that they wound up buying an old concrete barge that they'd wound up selling to the Army. So, at the beginning of the war, there was initial supply and demand issue. We didn't have enough steel. We didn't have enough aluminum. We didn't have enough things to build ships to really. We wanted to focus on guns, boomy, boomy, shooty, shooty, bang, bang boats, as opposed to we need to transport supplies.
Yeah.
So in order to cover the transporting of the supplies, we made 24 concrete barges that they didn't have engines. They were just a floating platform that you could just fill to the brim worth of shit and tug it behind one of the boats that does have an engine. Problem solved.
Okay, yeah.
You don't have to really have a crew for it. You don't really have to do anything other than tug it.
Yeah, they rented some U-Hauls.
Yeah, they made some new U-Hauls. Now, the Navy hated these U-Hauls because, well, it's not the most practical thing in the world. It slowed shit down, and it's kind of unseemly and ungainly, and it's not the easiest to tow across, the Pacific.
The Pacific Ocean. That's the big one, right? It's one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, it's a big one.
One of the bigger, gigantic oceans that covers this earth.
So they sold most of those off to the Army. Now, in 1945, they're going to buy one of these barges back from the Army at the cost of $1 million. This is a 6,000-ton barge, and it's going to be fitted.
Why are our armed forces buying things from our armed forces?
Right? Waste.
The $1 million came from the government and went to the government.
Government, yes. That already bought... sold that twice already. But Johnny, this barge is going to be shipped or fitted with ice cream facilities to both produce and store. It could produce 10 gallons of ice cream every 7 minutes, which was 500 gallons in a shift, and could store 2,000 gallons in its holds. That is a shit ton of ice cream.
A lot of ice cream.
That is a lot of ice cream. It was wound up ultimately being stationed in Ulithi? It's one of the islands there in the Pacific. And it helped supplement the demand of ice cream in that region for their soldiers. Allegedly, this had such a negative impact on the Japanese morale that when reported, multiple admirals in the Japanese fleet remarked that when they found out that the U.S. was having ice cream parties, they went, we can't even make bullets. Can we please have an ice cream party?
Can we come?
Like, well, war's over.
Invite themselves?
How the hell are we gonna win this? Time to throw in our caps. Yeah. No, I was trying to find a specific quote because you hear this, you go on the TikToks, you go on the YouTubers or whatever, you hear that all the time. I couldn't find an actually specific quote from an admiral, so maybe that happened, maybe that didn't happen. There's probably a grain of truth in that because there are like firsthand accounts of like German soldiers being like, you guys like live 8,000 miles away and have chocolate, and we live 8 miles away and we can't even get machine gun ammunition. So like, what the hell? Yeah, this is really American production. You cannot. Oh, America didn't win the war with our military might. We won the war with Rosie the Riveter building an absolute fuck ton of shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you have, I mean, God, our resources are unlimited. Like, we have all the shit here. It's all here.
Yeah.
Everything that we need. Like, it's a big-ass country. And we have lots of different areas with lots of
We need oil? Things. Yeah, we got that here. You need iron? Yeah, we got that here. You need steel? Yeah, you got that here. You need wood? Yeah, we got that. We got everything. All of it. We got it all here.
And it's all connected via railways for that, or, like we can get it places quickly, and it's easy.
And while you wouldn't know about it now, if you go to like places like Detroit or like Cleveland, Ohio, or some of the other big Midwest cities, and you drive through those cities, you're going to notice an absolute plethora of abandoned factories. Because at one point in time in America, we used to make shit.
We used to make
We used to make a lot of shit. And those are the factories that supplied.
But Tommy, every politician for the past, 50, 60 years has been bringing back jobs and factory jobs, right? Everyone. So we should have all of the factory jobs in the world by now. Do we not?
We were driving through, I was on vacation, and we were driving through Buffalo, New York. And there's literally like a factory that like, at any point in time, that was being held on by like one pillar, and like the rest of it was like all decaying. And like there's cars like parked, like.
It was still in
operation. I don't know if I'd be parking anywhere near that building. It's going to fall at any point.
It's probably still in operation, Tommy. It's fine. Don't even worry about it.
Well, it is Buffalo, so it might be. Now, in any case, the barge itself, you might be wondering, okay, so what happened to the barge? Is there a barge? There's not a name for this barge. This barge was never named. It is in military records, but it was never named because it's a barge, so why would we name it's a pontoon boat.
Because it's an ice cream barge.
The ice cream
what
shop.
Do you mean?
We have so much of abundance that we actually don't know what the hell even happened to it because we didn't tow it back at the end of the war. We just kind of left it.
We just littered.
So I imagine
with a concrete barge
full ice cream.
Full
so I imagine that
melted
somewhere
ice
in the
cream
Pacific,
now, and it's a reef now. Hopefully, I mean that'd be best case scenario.
Well, no, I think best case scenario is that like a couple of industrialists, like natives in one of the islands, like it was like we're opening up an ice cream shop now, and now I have a thriving business.
And they just kept
it could be
this barge
this could
operating.
That could be the Ben and Jerry's of like Euthily or
wherever
Lithuania was called. Yeah, maybe I don't know. So that's a useless piece of knowledge you bet you never needed to know. Like that we had so much stuff that we were able to make ice cream warships.
That's it for this week in Historic Hindsight. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and join us next week when we talk about the Battle of Perryville.